You know that feeling, right? The one we get every single year, those last few seconds of December ticking away, and it feels like the whole world is just holding its breath for whatever comes next. It's this global ritual, this fresh start. But something feels different this time.
I mean, just think back for a second. What did New Year's Eve used to look like? We'd all look up and we'd be expecting a sky just painted with color.
And then, of course, there was the sound. That familiar, explosive roar that would echo through every city. It was the soundtrack for a planet that was celebrating completely in unison. And we were all in it together. You'd get lost in this sea of faces, sharing that one single moment of just chaotic, unfiltered joy. That was the tradition. That's what we all expected. The world is still celebrating as the clock strikes midnight. That hasn't changed. But if you listen really closely, and if you look really carefully, the way we're celebrating has profoundly changed. The question is, why? Well, the answer isn't that we've forgotten how to celebrate. It's more that the year 2025 reminded us, in some pretty harsh terms, just how fragile celebration can be. It was a year that didn't just pass us by, it really left its mark. I mean, we saw unrest that fractured communities, turning streets we knew into places that felt uncertain, filled with loss. We watched as nature just reminded us of its incredible power, redrawing maps and completely uprooting lives with this unforgiving tide. That glow you'd see on the horizon, it wasn't from a party. It was a warning sign, a spectacle of destruction that just cast this long shadow over the entire year. And through all of that, tensions that were simmering just boiled over, and they stopped being headlines and just became this persistent, draining reality. 2025 left scars, and those scars, they've changed us. So as this year finally comes to a close, the world seems to be making a collective choice, a choice to mark the passage of time differently. And you can feel the shift, can't you? We've gone from this era of excess and just pure noise to one that's defined by something deeper. Now, this isn't a change born out of fear. It's born out of respect. Respect for everything that was lost and for all that's still healing. And you can see the real-world effects of that shift absolutely everywhere. In places that were once famous for these huge, explosive celebrations, there's now this deliberate quiet. Big concerts have been replaced by smaller, more solemn ceremonies. The crowds are thinner now. Joy is just finding a new, quieter voice. But don't get me wrong, this quietness, it doesn't mean the spirit of the new year is gone. Actually, it means the exact opposite. It means that joy is now seen as something so precious that it has to be carefully protected. And that right there is the crucial point. All the security checkpoints, the guarded streets, the watchful eyes, they aren't there to diminish the celebration. They are there to shield it, to create a space where hope can actually exist without being under threat. This New Year's Eve isn't really about excess anymore. It's about one single priority: awareness. A shared understanding that celebration without responsibility, well, it just isn't sustainable. It's a global lesson, and one we learned the hard way. And with that awareness comes a totally new definition of what it even means to win. The greatest celebration, the real victory, is no longer about who can throw the biggest party. It's about making sure that everyone gets to see the first sunrise of the new year. So as 2026 arrives, it doesn't come in with a bang. It arrives with intention. It arrives with a set of promises we're all making to ourselves and, more importantly, to each other. These are kind of the new resolutions, aren't they? They're not about personal gain, but about collective survival and a shared humanity. To be more careful with our world and with one another. To remember our shared vulnerability. And to really commit to moving forward, not alone, but together. So if there is one thing to really take away from this global shift, it's this: the instinct to celebrate, to feel hope, that is alive and well. What we've left behind in 2025 is the idea that celebration can somehow exist without consequence. Because in the end, that is the most profound celebration of all. It's not the noise in the sky, but the quiet, collective breath of a world that has chosen to protect its own future. To arrive in the new year whole and hopeful. That is the real victory.